Well, the world is still on fire because the Supreme Court is announcing that abortion is over. No one in the world is ever allowed to ever have an abortion again. That's what the Supreme Court has decided. And now this will be enforced by the United States military all around the world. Basically, that's what's being acted on. That's what how people are acting. We're going to talk today on the show about just responding to some of the lunacy things people have said. But let's lay this foundation. First of all, the Supreme Court reversing Roe versus Wade is not only common sense. It needs to be done. It was a terrible ruling from the beginning. Not only that, but there's more scientific understanding that we have now. But it was a terrible ruling even at the time. And it just obviously needs to be reversed, right? It also does not make abortion illegal, except in about, I think, 13 or 14 states. And those states can choose to make abortion legal if they want, although they shouldn't. And the other states should also make moves to make abortion illegal immediately. Okay, so let's just understand that what the Supreme Court is not doing is saying women can't have an abortion. They're saying you can't. That they're saying that the previous Supreme Court ruling that prohibited states from outlawing abortion was not correct, and they're repealing that ruling. Um, let's turn. We now here's the thing that's really bothered me over the last week. Yes, we've had lots of good, honest, genuine people who have rejoiced over this because babies will be murdered at a less high rate because of this. Praise God. We're a fan of that. But what's concerned me is people who call themselves Christians, people who call themselves conservatives, who are outraged that abortion is going away. And I say either A, you have a serious problem with not having ever thought through this issue, or B, you are not a conservative and you are not acting like a Christian at all. Question mark over whether you are a Christian because you're not acting like one, right? I mean, that's how things go. All right. Before we get into it, though, guys, thanks for watching. This is Point of View, by the way. And if you like this kind of content, you don't forget to hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. This is the show where we're unashamed to look at political, social, cultural, and even theological issues from a biblical worldview. This one is kind of all four. But it doesn't. We don't have to emphasize the theological part of this to make this an obvious win for our side, right? Atheists join hands with us over this, right? People from all different faiths join hands with us over this. People from all different theologies join hands with us on this because it's just basic common sense. Although, again, we talked about how having a moral center does go back to the God of the Bible and all that kind of stuff. We're not rejecting the theology behind it. Matter of fact, we talked about it and we'll continue to talk about it. We're going to make a whole week of talking about it. You've already been hearing us, if you've been watching every episode this week, talk about it. But I'm just saying this is an issue that's winnable on every front. It's obvious. It's clear. Do not back down. Go out and be Facebook keyboard warriors, whatever needs to be done. Jonathan, have you seen some of the crazy stuff that's been coming out before I start showing everybody? Because I'm sure they haven't seen any themselves.
Right. Yeah. I've seen so much. I've gotten back into Twitter a little bit. It's all over there. Libs of TikTok is showing a lot of it. Just, the sites that I use for memes and those sorts of things. The reactions have been, kind of funny. In some states, and then and other ones are just like, wow, do you listen to yourself ever? Do you ever hear the words that you're saying? Because man, this is an easy one, guys. Going back to your first point about this doesn't ban abortion. It's not even close to that. In fact, the ruling doesn't have a whole lot to do with abortion itself. It's really just rejecting bad case law. I've seen some breakdowns of this. What they used to push Roe v. Wade in the first part, when it was done back, all those decades ago, was just a bad argument, and it kind of said that the Constitution guarantees the right to abortion based on the right to privacy. Neither of those two things are in the Constitution. Therefore, this is a bad ruling and must be rejected. It doesn't really say, oh, abortion is anti-constitutional, though it is. That point can be argued, and I think should be in the future, because the right to life is in the Constitution and should be applied to the unborn as well. So I believe, yes, that should be the next step.
Yeah.
But that's not what this did. The overturning of Roe v. Wade, which still isn't even official, does not say that that abortion is not something that can be done at all in the United States, and it's not even close.
Right. I'm gonna go. I think we're going a different route than I had planned. So watch this. This is Nadia Bowles Weber. Now we've done some response to her. She's a wacko, ordained Lutheran pastor, and she is served as the founding pastor of House for All Saints, All Sinners and Saints, a congregation of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. She has written books such as Pastorix and Shameless, which many of her books are all about coming out sexually and being proud of, just promiscuous sex as a Christian. And it's yeah, she's a piece of work. Anyway, here was her response. Of course, somebody with those opinions about sex is going to have this opinion about abortion.
Girl, you know what I think. I mean, I'm like, where's the legislation that makes it illegal to ejaculate inside a female who does not want to be pregnant? Where's that legislation? Why is that never, ever, ever what we're fighting?
Right.
And if people have a visceral response to like, oh my God, you could never do that, think it through. Why do you have a visceral response at telling somebody what they can or cannot do with their body? A man, what a man can or cannot do with their body and their reproductive acts in the world. There's never been an attempt to legislate that. So, and it does take two. And, as somebody, I won't say anymore, but yes.
Okay, without jumping to conclusions and being rude for no reason, can we just acknowledge how emasculated and whipped that one guy is that we saw, just nodding, yeah, yeah. Now, guys, this, and I say not being rude without reason. They started the rudeness, okay, and the crude language and the crude speak here. The argument apparently here from Nadia, her best argument. She's not going to say anything more because she has so much more to say, but she will at least say this, which kind of indicates this is like the best thing she can say, and everything else doesn't need to be said after that. Okay. Her best argument is if the government is going to make laws against abortion, it shows that they're biased because they don't make laws against a man finishing inside, right? Like the final act that makes a child possible, right? Okay, that's the cleanest I think I can put that. I can't think of a cleaner
Good
way
job.
to say that. This is super embarrassing, but let's continue on with this. They brought it up, right? Okay, we are
I'm
just trying
I'm
to set
enjoying
the
this. This is funny.
I'm gonna have to change my camera settings so I don't look as red. All right, okay, let's power through this. The point is here, what are you doing? First of all, as a pastor, even speaking this way, right? Secondly, if you don't want a child, then you don't engage in actions that produce children. Say, well, no.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I want to have sexual relations, but I don't want children. Sorry, that act has literally billions of times throughout history produced children. This is what it does. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean you have to want children in order to have, to produce to engage in the act. But you do need to be ready and willing to deal with the consequences when it does what it's supposed to do and produces a child. That's what it's for. Okay? Now, the intricacies of a relationship where a man is, unexpectedly doing something to a woman in the middle. I'm sorry, you shouldn't already be. How did you already get in this situation where a man who you don't want, who you don't trust, and who you don't want to have a child with is at that point? You understand, like, without me describing any further detail, how insane this argument is, especially coming from a pastor. This is nonsense. This is why we have standards. This is why we say a man and a wife. This is why the Bible says a man should leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife. This is, sorry for everybody. I just hit your ear. This is, okay, take this, Jonathan, because...
Well, it comes down to, she says, why is there no legislation against what is essentially rape? There is. Rape's illegal. The entire,
but what she described,
semantics.
What she described,
she gets into semantics,
is not
right?
rape.
She tries to get into that. She tries to get lost in the weeds, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
If you want to not, engage, because honestly, it doesn't take that specific act for you to get pregnant. You can get pregnant without that. You can. It happens all the time. Even with protection and all of these things, and you can the pregnancy can happen even if the man does what he's told to do or is supposed to do in that act, what is agreed on beforehand or whatever. But essentially, it looks like it boils down. Like, she tries to get it lost in the weeds, but if you boil it right down, it's, yes, rape is illegal. Mm-hmm. If you choose to have sex with a man, then pregnancy is possible. Whether you take the precautions or not, it's still possible. And the way to not get pregnant is to not have sex. That's the way it goes. Now we can talk about rape, but that's not what this is about. This is about consensual sex, which is one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the big reasons, as you say. Sex should happen only within the confines of marriage. It's something God designed, as part of the marriage vows, because this is a family building thing. Like, this produces children. This is what it does. This is obvious. This is what it does with the entire animal kingdom. We see this everywhere. So yeah,
here's the
way
thing.
to regulate this is
the whole assumption here that Nadia and the entire left make on this issue is that people have a right to sex. They have a right to it. They have a right to having sex, and without any kind of natural consequence. Now, when I say natural consequence, it can sound like it's a negative word. Consequences aren't always negative. I go to work. The consequence is I get paid, right? So consequence is just what happens because I did that, right? The assumption by Nadia and all of these leftists is that we have a right. Human beings have a right to have sex without having children. And you don't have a right to have sex without having children. I mean, you have a right to try to not have children. Sure, go for it, right? But you don't have any right to not have children. And here's how I know.
Even within marriage, right? Even within marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, again, we don't need to bring the theology part of this in. But as a pastor, she should know that humans aren't accidentally created. I mean, we might accidentally, have a child, not having a desire to, but God didn't make an accident when he created a life. Okay? So as a pastor, I'm just saying, when we're talking to people who are non-religious, we don't even need to go there because there's a lot of other good arguments, but she's a pastor, right? Or claims to be. She's not really a pastor. I mean, look at her. I mean, the way that she's acting, what she's saying, besides the fact we could talk about, egalitarian stuff versus complementarian. But the point is, She doesn't qualify as a pastor just for the mere fact that she wants to kill babies. I mean, that should be like the baseline. If you want to be a pastor, you should at least not want to kill babies, and not want to help mothers kill babies. That's a pretty good baseline.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot more that could be requirements for being a pastor, but you should at least not want to kill babies. This is what we're dealing with. And this is what the argument has to come down to. Is this a human life? If it's a human life, there's no way around that, right? It's not a dog, it's not a cat, it's human, and it biologically is alive. It's a human life. If it's a human life, then taking that life is either wrong or it's not. If it's not, then there's no such thing as any moral problem with taking human life. We just take human life whenever we want, whenever it's convenient, whenever it's less trouble for me, whenever it helps me deal with consequences of my own actions. No, this is why sex has always been a big deal throughout human history, because sex has serious consequences, and you got to be ready for that before you participate in it.
Yeah, I mean, the argument does boil down to that. And I've always said a lot of these, very minor, and as far as percentage wise goes, cases, as far as rape, incest, health of the mother, these arguments just go away when you just focus on the fact that that's a human being. Okay? If that's a human being, this is easy. This is very simple. Like, she doesn't even focus on that. She doesn't even go there, because if it's a human being, you're killing an innocent person. That's wrong. It's wrong in the eyes of God. It's wrong in the eyes of the law. It's wrong on pretty much every standard that you can throw up there. I mean, every culture, you don't have to go very far at all to know that murder is wrong. That everybody kind of agrees on that. I don't know if there's anybody that would disagree on that. Murder's wrong. So once you get the idea that this is a human being, which scientifically it is, that's not really up for debate either. These questions go out the window. So this is pretty simple stuff. Even in cases of rape, which if she's saying, well, the rape should be wrong, this should be, okay. Even if, that happens, she should still not be allowed to get an abortion because she's murdering another person for the sins of herself or for the sins of somebody else. It's still a murder.
Well, and that's the point. She's again acting like an act that most people would not be considered rape is equivalent to rape. And here's the thing. Rape is wrong. There are laws against it. And the act that she's suggesting is, not considered to be rape, wouldn't be rape. Right? We are completely against rape. And to bring that point to more of a fuller understanding, let's look at a couple other. This is from the Libs of TikTok, who does a great job pointing out what people say. And this is a sort of a montage where people start talking about the Handmaid's Tale aspect of this. So let's watch this, and then we'll break down what is a Handmaid's Tale and what they're saying, because they're insinuating rape when they talk about the Handmaid's Tale. Can't tell what she said.
This abortion law goes beyond a woman's issue, and it goes beyond anything you can ever imagine. The societal implications of this are going to be insane. The amount of just pain and damage this is going to cause, and the full ability to tell a woman what she can and can't do with her body. And we're going back into a Handmaid's Tale society here.
All of you women who...
Can we stop right there? What is this lady? Why are you getting drunk and then going on TikTok? Like, I mean, there is a problem with this. Can we say there's some slurred speech there? If she was driving, she'd probably be taken in for. There's a problem there with Let's continue.
At home, all you young girls, adults over 18 years old who did not go out and vote, who did not think that you need to protect your womb. We're now back in the dark ages.
Brace yourselves, ladies. I'm with you.
Yeah.
My heart is just broken I don't understand why this country hates women so much. I just don't understand it. We'll get through this. We'll figure out a way.
No more joking about it being a Handmaid's Tale. It will be.
Oh, Handmaid's Tale.
Okay, so you look.
How can you
look,
say
ladies,
no more
we'll
joking?
Get through this.
Come on.
We'll get through this. We'll get through not being able to murder our children. You know, not that these ladies probably have a whole lot to worry about as far as having children. Most of them are quite past the age and probably not of that inclination that could possibly. They look like lesbians. Let me just say that that's what the way they present themselves. I'm getting myself in so much trouble this episode. Stop and do it again. The point is here. Handmaid's Tale. Okay, so I looked this up. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I don't want to see it. But apparently Handmaid's Tale is some sort of dystopian future where most women cannot get pregnant. So the women that can get pregnant are sort of slaves, concubine slaves to the rich and powerful to produce children for rich men. That is, first of all, seems like a utopia for these women. That most women will not be able to get pregnant. So they can just, whatever they want to do, no consequences, right? But for the ones who can, they're going to be raped. But that's the point. We are the people, the conservatives, are 100% and always have been and always will be 100% against rape. As a matter of fact, we would love to see the death penalty for rapists. By the way, libertarians tend to be on the same bandwagon, okay? Rape is wrong. It's about the worst thing that anyone can ever do. And no, we're all for demonizing the rapist. Okay, this is not so. Oh, it's a Handmaid's Tale because the Republicans want to promote rape. No, absolutely not. Is it? But here's the thing: the equivocation between rape and not being able to have an abortion. That's the problem. And this is the same thing the same equivocation Nadia made. That not being able to have the abortion is the same as someone raping you. Forcing you to have a child. No, you participated in a willful act that produces children, and we're saying you can't murder the child. And even in the less than 1%, less than 10% of 1%. I think it's 0.06%, if I'm not mistaken. Of cases where rape is the cause for someone wanting an abortion. In those extremely rare instances, we're saying, no, the terrible, awful murderer, monster, is the rapist, not the child. We don't murder the child. We can murder the rapist. Go for it. Capital punishment. We're not going to murder a child because of the monster rapist. And this reminds me of something else I saw, and I'll let you, because Jonathan, I've been running a roughshod over you all the show. I saw this, and I'll pull it up here to show you after you have get a word in here, Jonathan. But one of the things that I saw on Facebook is this argument that, oh, I am for women who have this monster person who raped them, and they're carrying this monster's child. Does that make the child a monster? No. So why are you going to murder the child because of a monster person? Why is it even monstrous to rape? Because that is a serious act. It's not something to be done lightly. That's why it's so bad. All right, go for it.
Yeah. So I did a little Google search on the Handmaid's Tale myself because so many people want to bring this up. I've seen montages where there's way more. I mean, Handmaid's Tale seems to be the one go-to thing here. Based on a best-selling novel by Margaret Atwood, this series is set in Gilead, a totalitarian society. Sounds familiar. Just a few news cycles ago, the other side was talking about a totalitarian society, and everybody's like, no, you have to do this. The rules, for what cannot be mentioned on YouTube, must apply to everyone. Nobody can get away with this. Ruled by a fundamentalist regime that treats women as property of the state and is faced with environmental disasters and a plummeting birth rate. So like you said, they're forced into the sexual servitude. One thing has nothing to do with the other. The rape is what this whole thing is based on, and this has nothing. This has nothing to do with rape, and unfortunately, the repeal of Roe versus Wade in almost every state, even states that will scale back abortion rights, I use that term very loosely, most likely will keep abortion in place in cases of rape, right? That's going to be one of the highest things. Like, oh, we have to keep that in, which is inconsistent and the whole 9 yards. But this, how is this a Handmaid's Tale? This has nothing to do with a Handmaid's Tale. This isn't even close. The Handmaid's Tale has a lot more to do with what they were pushing just a few months ago than this. It's got nothing to do with it. I've seen memes where, the woman will say, well, if it's going to be illegal for me to terminate the pregnancy, then it should be illegal for the man to just leave and be out of this child's life completely. Yeah. Okay, I'm fine with this.
Yeah,
that's 100%. That's a completely fair argument. I will go with that. No problem.
I'll go. I'll go further. That if a child is conceived through rape, I think not only should the rapist, no matter whether there's a child conceived or not, face the death penalty, but everything that he owns should be sold and should be given to that child to raise the child for his education, his or her education. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That a man shouldn't be off the hook in all of these things, and I don't think he is.
Even if it's not conceived through rape, the man should absolutely be on the hook for that. Yeah. I agree. Absolutely, I agree. It does take two. This is two people. If this is a baby that was conceived out of wedlock, which most of the time it is, then that's two bad decisions. And the man should not be off the hook. It shouldn't just be like, the woman has to go through all this. What we're saying
is don't try to use this common ground that we agree on, that the man shouldn't be off the hook, to try to say abortion should be true, should be legal, and should be okay. No, no way.
The opposite argument
is the man's responsibility in the matter and a good excuse to murder a child. You don't murder children. It is a life. It is a human life. It is demonstrably and provably so, both in scripture and in biology. You don't get around this. You don't murder children, period, end of conversation. There is no but if. No, you don't murder children. No. Bad. Stop thinking about murdering children. Here's a little piece of the Facebook post. We'll get into this more in another episode, but it says, I'm not pro abortion. I'm pro Jamie, who has finally found the strength to get away from her physically abusive spouse, only to find that she's carrying the monster's child. Okay, he's a monster. Kill him. Okay, don't kill the baby. Right? In this made up scenario. That's all the time we have. We'll see you next time on Point of View. Bye-bye.